Good afternoon and thank you for joining me, Glen-Nora Tjipura, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, Namcor owes Namra $350 million. Geingob tears into essay over SACU and Orange River. A guard shoots rapist and turns himself in. Do stay tuned for these and more news on NMH at 1.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Getting into our midday news update. One man died in his shack as dozens of houses burned down last night at Auskenker. About 100 families have been left without homes after 3 hours of raging fires. Lack of tap water has contributed to the spreading of the fire, a resident told Namibian Sun. Spray tanks from grape company Silverlands helped put the fire down in the end. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia. Right after the break, we'll get into that.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Starting us off in our visual news, thousands of motorists and hundreds of public transport operators are expected to hit the road this festive season. With schools closing, families are already heading to their holiday destinations. Walvis Bay Acting Traffic Chief Clifton Jacob has revealed that Walvis Bay is ready to enforce traffic laws this festive season. Let's take a look.
Yes, from our traffic department, we already have our planes ready for the festive season. We expect a lot of people to come down to the coast this year. And there will also be a lot of functions and facilities going around in and around town. Langstrand, Dolphin Beach, Independence Beach, and then also at the yacht club, where different parties and shows will be held. And then our roadblocks will also start on the 15th of December. And apart from the fixed roadblocks, the municipality of Walvis Bay, in cooperation with the stakeholders, Namibian Police, Traffic Department, Namcor itself, we will also have fixed roadblocks around town, where we will do speed checks, roadworthiness on vehicles, as well as random alcohol tests. That will also then take place at our permanent roadblocks, where people will be pulled over and a random breath test will be conducted. So I just want to warn our road users to please be careful, drive careful, rather arrive 5 or 10 minutes late at your destination than to speed and to make accidents or be involved in accidents where you can be seriously injured or somebody can lose their lives also. So be patient. It is said all over the world that we have one of the best road infrastructure in the world, but that doesn't count if we as the road users does not give our part and do what is expected from us, to be patient, drive careful, stick to the speed limits, make sure that your vehicle is in a roadworthy condition, and please avoid driving whilst under the influence of alcohol. Yeah, and especially during the festive season, everybody is in a relaxed mood, and that is where you get young children driving without driver's license, driving their parents or their friends' vehicles. That is an offense, and we really will keep our finger on that, especially the beach areas, where children are riding their quad bikes, driving up and down the beach. It is in fact prohibited to drive from on the coastline with your quad bike or unlicensed motor vehicle. They can make use of the dune belt. If you are driving to Swakopmund on the right hand side of the road, there's sufficient space.
President Hage Geingob said that they are serving the nation and not initially doing it because of the money. He stressed that he has been in positions that paid him a lot of money but resigned. Geingob was speaking at a press briefing at the State House. Enzo Amwele has more.
Some of you don't know me, I have been working, put my body in places where paying me money. When on the welfare, I paid money. I resigned and came there. It's not a question of money. If I give you the amounts, the company will collapse. So what? We are getting that money? So it's not a question of money, please. Greed is what is motivating us. We are trying to save. Truly speaking, these are cars, all ministers, cars. What is a car? It's a means. It's a means that you use to deliver. Don't reduce things to cars, traveling. No, please. There are bigger things we will discuss. Talk about S&T. No, let's move on.
And that concludes our visual news segment. After the break, the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Let's get into our daily newspapers, starting off with the Namibian Sun's front page, which reports that President Hage Geingob yesterday lashed out at how South Africa is managing the Southern African Costumes Union, which he says is seen as a colonial artifact by countries like Zambia, which has refused to join it. The president also called on South Africa to respect international law over the Orange River, which borders Namibia and South Africa and over which Namibia wants partial jurisdiction. During a year-end briefing at State House, Geingob expressed great dissatisfaction with the current SACU model, saying Namibia has pushed for reforms, but it would appear that South Africa has other plans. On page 3, an unidentified security guard shot an alleged rapist after witnessing the suspect and his 17-year-old victim struggling in Katutura. The Namibian police reported the incident over the weekend, adding that it took place in a riverbed in the early morning hours of Sunday. It is alleged that an unidentified suspect was shot in the head by the security guard and in an attempt to rescue the rape victim. The victim, a 17-year-old girl, was raped after she was dropped off by a taxi. Moving over to the Republicans' front page, it reports on the trial of Ernst Lichtenstrasser was brought to halt about a week ago after he allegedly attempted to end his own life. During a court session yesterday, further details about the incident came to light. A letter from the casualty unit where Lichtenstrasser is currently being treated indicated that he overdosed on pills on purpose, allegedly to take his own life. Mr. Lichtenstrasser is alleged to have intentionally taken an unknown number of tablets. The letter read. Dr. Kapenaura Jessica Kashomwithe, who wrote the letter, identified the medications tramadol, an opioid pain medication used to treat moderately to severe pain, and zolpidem, mainly used for short-term treatment of insomnia in Lichtenstrasser's system. On page 3, the late Bernard Geingob, a former journalist at the Republican and NBC employee, is laid to rest at Marienthal over the weekend. The 65-year-old, also known as Au Berries, passed away on the 14th of November of kidney failure. Moving over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, it reports that a major project from the 1980s is now set to become a reality. A new deep-sea harbor with a city in the hinterland of Kaukoland is to be built near Cape Freya. Green energy and solar power will play a major role in the project. On page 3, the Cabinet Secretary George Simata organized a meeting with executive directors and other heads of department from various agencies to discuss the ongoing neglect of the maintenance of government properties. After this short break, we'll continue with the newspaper review.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Continuing with our newspaper review, starting off with the Namibian, that reports the Namibia Revenue Agency has written a letter to the state-owned National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia to demand that the oil company settle its customs and excise debt. In an email dated the 30th of October, Namra said their records show that Namcor is in default of making due entry and payments of fuel imports. Namcor reportedly owes Namra $350 million Namibian dollars. Namra said Namcor grossly contravened the Customs and Excise Act by failing to declare the fuel from vessels as per standard operation procedure. Namra said the provisions are stipulated under the Customs and Excise Act. Note that any transgression in this regard is dealt with under the Act. Moving on page 3, the Namibian reports that the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism suspended commercial mopane harvesting activities in the Kunene region last week. This was announced by the Director of Forestry, Johnson Ndokosho. The immediate suspension comes after the ministry noted the unsustainable harvesting of these species with concern. In a letter written to the Chief Forester Kamuhelo Liazo, Ndokosho said the management has decided to immediately suspend commercial activities. The New Era's lead story reports that Fisheries Minister Derek Claassen has expressed deep concern over the magnitude of illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing on the country's coastal line. The minister said the plundering of Namibia's resources continues unabated, with neighboring countries also implicated in these illicit activities, both inland and at sea. Addressing the fishing industry, Claassen highlighted the persistent challenges posed by both coastal and inland illegal activities, asserting that they remain a significant headache for the government. Illegal fishing overall is a costly exercise, as it not only robs the country of revenue but also impacts the sustainable management systems in place for the harvesting and safeguarding of natural resources. On the New Era's page 3, a total of 26,000 people in the northern regions are in demand of National Housing Enterprises houses. The northern regions that are administered under the NHA North Office are Omusati, Oshana, Ohangwena, Oshikoto, and the town of Tsumeb. The figures were mentioned by the NHE CEO Gisbertus Mukulu during a media engagement event that was held at Africa Start House Hotel in Ongwediva over the weekend. Now, according to Mukulu, the high demand for houses is not just in the northern region, but it is a national problem, as over 100,000 people are in demand for houses nationally. Now, moving over to the Market Watch, it reports that Standard Bank has rejected claims it was involved in rent manipulation. The bank is among the foreign and local banks that competition authorities are investigating. Standard Chartered, an unrelated bank, recently reached a 42.7 million rent settlement with the Competition Tribunal after admitting misconduct. Standard Bank has rejected claims that it has been involved in rent manipulation, labeling the allegations as false and inaccurate. The bank is among 24 foreign and local banks that competition authorities are investigating over allegations of manipulating the value of the rent exchange rate between 2007 and 2013. Now, after the break, we'll be getting into your economic news. Do stay with NMH at 1.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into our economic news, about 25 Papua youth received brick-making and business skills training, in addition to a full starter pack with all the equipment needed to kickstart their businesses from F&B through the First Rent Namibia Foundation Trust in collaboration with Ohorongo Cement. The starter pack consisted of various items, including a wheelbarrow, safety boots and glasses, gloves, cement, builder sand, a 4x5 meter PVC sheet, brick making, molding, brushes, and a basin for washing equipment, to mention a few. This collaborative social investment is valued at over 300,000 Namibian dollars. F&B Commercial Relationship Manager Karina Mateus, who spoke at the launch of the two-day training workshop, highlighted the significant role that skills development plays in Namibia's economic growth agenda. Let's get into our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.62, against the euro at 20.51, against the US dollar at 18.74, 2 Namibian dollars and 62 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the Namibia Stock Exchange, all the major stocks remained unchanged. Overall index closed at 0.74%, going down. On the commodities market, all major commodities went up, with Brent crude oil trading at 1.09%, going for $81.08 per barrel. 70 people were killed and nearly 2,000 inmates escaped during Sunday's attack on a military barracks, a prison and other locations in Sierra Leone, officials said. The West African country was thrown into panic in the early hours when the assailants sent gunfire ringing across the capital, Freetown. The government blamed renegade soldiers that it said had been repelled. President Julius Maada Bio said in an address on Sunday that most of the leaders of the attack had been arrested and that efforts to apprehend others were underway. An investigation has been launched, he said. Army spokesman Colonel Isa Bangura told Reuters that the 20 dead included 13 soldiers, 3 assailants, a police officer, a civilian, and someone working in private security. 8 people were wounded and 3 arrested, he said. Some 1,890 inmates escaped from the Pademba Road Central Prison after the attackers broke in, according to a situation report that prison officials shared with Reuters on Monday. So far, 23 have returned, it said. In a 2-hour raid, the assailants rammed open the main gate with a vehicle after gunfire and a rocket launcher failed to breach prison defenses, said Colonel Sheikh Salwaiman Masakwe, the acting Director General of the Sierra Leone Correctional Services. Now, inside the prison on Monday, a Reuters reporter saw cell doors broken open or removed entirely and piles of trash from an ongoing cleanup. After the break, we'll be getting into your international news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
An Israel-Hamas truce in the Gaza Strip stretched into a 5th day on Tuesday as the two sides completed the release of Israeli hostages and detained Palestinians and looked poised to free more as the pause in fighting was extended by 2 days. Hamas took about 240 hostages during the 7th of October incursion into southern Israel that killed 1,200 people, according to Israeli figures, prompting Israel to retaliate by bombing the coastal enclave and launching a ground offensive in its north. Israel said 11 Israelis had returned to the country from the Gaza Strip on Monday, bringing to 69 the total of Israeli and foreign hostages the Palestinian group has freed since Friday under the truce. Now, the White House and Qatari negotiators said on Monday the original 4-day pause in fighting, due to expire at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, had been extended for 2 more days. Israel has not commented on any agreement to extend the truce, but in what may be an implicit confirmation, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said the government approved the addition of 50 female prisoners to its list of Palestinians for potential release if additional Israeli hostages are freed. Now, Hamas said it had sought to revise terms under which it would free hostages beyond the women and children it has already released. After the break, we'll be getting into your local sports news and international sports news. Do stay with NMH at 1.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraita. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Let's take a look at our sports news, starting off on the local scene. In the coastal town of Swakopmund, a team of determined individuals is gearing up for a challenge that stretches well beyond the typical test of endurance, the annual Nedbank Desert Dash. These are the members representing the Blush Foundation team, a group of social cyclists united by their zeal for cycling and a cause, the eradication of period poverty in Namibia. Gerard Erasmus' 50th international T20 match as captain coincided with Namibia's 50th T20I, where the Richello Eagles had to work hard against the stubborn opposition from Kenya at United. Another exciting edition of the FNB Sandman Triathlon will take place at the mall in Swakopmund on the 3rd of December. The event is made possible by FNB, who has taken up the role of title sponsor for the last 16 years. We now get into your international sports news. South Africa's two-time Rugby World Cup winning captain Siya Kolisi tasted victory on his Racing 92 debut as they beat La Rochelle 32-10 in Paris to take over the #1 spot in the French top 14 table. Inter Milan manager Simon Ingazi hopes to have Alexis Sanchez available for selection this week as the Serie A leaders go into a hectic period of fixtures with several key players struggling with injuries. In our next story, Chippa United pulled the mother of all shocks in the DStv Diski Challenge this past weekend. The Chile boys are among the few teams who have not had a good start to the season. Lack of consistency has been one of their biggest problems. After the break, we'll be getting into the news highlights. To stay with NMH at 1. Let's take a look at the news highlights from today's broadcast. 20 people were killed and nearly 2,000 inmates escaped during Sunday's attack on a military barrack